Throughout the Second World War, the Soviet Union armed its forces with rugged rifles, high-rate submachine guns, reliable machine guns, solid revolvers and specialized suppressed weapons, and today we will see them all.
First up, handguns. Nagant M1895. This old revolver was iconic for its unique gas seal system. It stayed in service long after it should have been retired, because it was rugged and dependable in the mud. TT-33, a powerful semi-automatic that packed a real punch. The TT-33 was simple to make and easy to fix, making it a favorite for officers on the front lines. Then, Korovin TK. This was the first Soviet semi-automatic pistol. The TK was quite small and mainly used by high-ranking officials or as a compact pocket backup. Voivodin pistol. Designed to replace older models, this high-capacity pistol never saw mass production. Only a few hundred were made before the war priorities shifted elsewhere. Then, Baltits pistol. Developed during the siege of Leningrad, this rare sidearm was built under desperate conditions. It was meant to work in freezing temperatures where others often failed. Prelutsky M 1914. An early design that never quite made it to the big leagues. It represents the experimental stage of Soviet sidearms before more modern designs took over. Moving on to bolt-action rifles. Mosin Nagant M1891-30, the backbone of the Red Army. This bolt-action rifle was legendary for its reach and durability, serving millions of soldiers from the start of the war to the very end. Next, Mosin Nagant M1938 carbine, a shorter version of the classic rifle. It was perfect for cavalry and engineers who needed a lighter weapon without losing too much stopping power. Mosin Nagant M 1944 carbine. This update added a folding bayonet that stayed attached at all times. It was built for the brutal, close-quarters fighting seen in the final years of the war. Now this is the Berdan No. 2, a relic from the 19th century that saw limited use during the darkest days of the conflict. It shows just how desperate the need for rifles really was. Next on the list is semi-automatic and automatic rifles. Fedorov Avtomat. Often called the world's first assault rifle. Though rare by 1941, it was pulled from storage to provide extra firepower in the deep winter snow. AVS-36. An early attempt at a full-auto battle rifle. The A5S-36 was complex and had a heavy kick, leading it to be replaced by simpler semi-automatic designs. SVT-40, a sophisticated semi-automatic rifle that provided a high rate of fire. While the S5T-40 was complex to maintain, it was highly prized by those who knew how to use it. Now this is the AVT-40. This was a fully automatic version of the standard semi-auto rifle. The A5T-40 was hard to control during rapid fire and mostly served as a stopgap measure. Now this is the SKS-45. This sleek semi-automatic arrived just as the war was ending. The SKS-45 used a new intermediate cartridge and paved the way for the future of Soviet infantry. Now this is the AS-44, a very rare, experimental assault rifle. The AS-44 was one of the first to use the intermediate round that would later change modern warfare forever. Now let's look at submachine guns. PPD-40, a reliable submachine gun that used a large drum magazine. The PPD-40 set the stage for later designs, but was too expensive to mass-produce during the invasion. PPSH-41, known as the burp gun for its incredible rate of fire. The PPSH-41 was cheap to build and became a true symbol of victory in the ruins of the cities. PPS-43, arguably the best submachine gun of the war. The PPS-43 was made entirely of stamped steel, making it incredibly light and easy to manufacture in besieged factories. PPSH-2, a simplified version of the famous PPSH that never quite replaced its predecessor. The PPSH-2 featured a more modern design, but arrived too late to matter. Then, Korovin SMG, an experimental folding submachine gun. It was a clever design intended for paratroopers, but it stayed in the prototype phase, while other guns took the lead. Tokarev Model 1927, the first Soviet submachine gun ever made. It fired pistol rounds, but looked like a small rifle, showing the early evolution of rapid-fire infantry weapons. Now let's look at machine guns. DP-27, instantly recognizable by the record player magazine on top. The DP-27 was the standard light machine gun and provided reliable fire support for every squad. Then, DT, this was the specialized version of the light machine gun meant for tanks. The DT had a compact stock and a higher capacity drum to fit in tight spaces. DA, an aviation version of the infantry machine gun. The DA was mounted on early warplanes to defend against enemy fighters before faster guns replaced it. Maxim M, 1910-30. A heavy, water-cooled beast on a wheeled mount. It could fire for hours without stopping, making it a nightmare for anyone charging a Soviet defensive line. Maxim Tokarev. This was a lightened version of the heavy Maxim. It removed the water jacket to make it more mobile, though it was quickly surpassed by newer light machine guns. DS-39, intended to replace the aging Maxim, this air-cooled machine gun proved to be too unreliable in the field. Most DS-39 units were lost or replaced early on. SG-43, a rugged and modern replacement for the heavy Maxim. The SG-43 was easier to manufacture and stayed in service long after the war ended due to its simple design. DSHK 1938. A heavy caliber machine gun used to tear through light armor and aircraft. The DSHK 1938 was the Soviet answer to the 50 caliber PV-1, a fast-firing machine gun modified for use in fighter planes. The P-51 was synchronized to fire through propeller blades during the early aerial battles of the war. SHK-AS. This was one of the fastest-firing machine guns in the world. The SHK-AS and its incredibly high rate of fire made it a terrifying weapon in the air. Now this is the Berezin UB, a versatile heavy machine gun found on almost every Soviet plane. The UB was reliable and powerful, capable of taking down enemy bombers with ease. SHVAK 12.7, a large caliber machine gun designed for aircraft. The SH-5AK 12.7 provided the heavy punch needed for aerial combat before being scaled up into a cannon. Slostin machine gun, a wild, multi-barrel experimental design. It looked like a modern Gatling gun and had a blistering rate of fire, but it was far too complex for wartime use. Next up, anti-tank rifles. PTRD-41, a massive, single-shot anti-tank rifle. The PTRD-41 was simple, cheap, and could punch through the side armor of early tanks with a single, well-aimed round. Now this is the PTRS-41, a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle that held 5 rounds. The PTRS-41 offered much more firepower than the single-shot version, but was harder to keep clean. Sholokhov anti-tank rifle. This was a very early anti-tank design based on older technology. The SH Sholokhov was quickly overshadowed by more modern rifles as tank armor became thicker, ending with specialized firearms. ROX 3, a specialized flamethrower disguised to look like a standard rifle. The ROKS-3 used this trick to prevent the operator from being targeted by enemy snipers. Up next, Ampulomet Model 1941, a strange weapon that launched glass spheres filled with incendiary liquid. It was effective against bunkers, but very dangerous for the crew to handle. Then VG-44, a late-war rifle grenade launcher. The 5G-44 was a simplified design intended to give the average infantryman more explosive power during the final push. OSP-30, the standard flare pistol used for signaling and illumination. The OSP-30 was a vital tool for communication between units in the chaos of night combat. OSH-42, an emergency flare gun made from simple stamped metal. The OSH-42 was designed to be produced quickly in any workshop when standard supplies ran low.